Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Evergreen RX. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. If I look cold, for those of you watching this episode, it's because I am. It's freezing outside. It legitimately is freezing. There is snow on the ground, and the room I record in is the coldest room in my house, and so even holding this microphone is like so cold. It feels like ice in my hands. And so we're just rolling with it, but I got a big blankie on. But you know it's bad when it's so cold that your blanket is cold when you put it on, because it's been like sitting, wherever it's sitting, or it's on the ground or something, and then it's cold and it has to warm up with your body temperature. That's where I'm at right now. I also have 2 pairs of pants on and my hair is super staticky. So there's where I'm physically at. Who knows, by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be 85 degrees in Texas. It'll be totally different, but for now we're getting our little winter blast along with the rest of the country, and it's freezing, but it's cozy, especially because we haven't lost power, so it's definitely cozier than previous years. It's nice to have a reason to just stay in and relax, drink hot chocolate, read. That's basically what I've been doing. It's kind of nice. The winter storm this year coordinated with the weekend, so even more excuse to just like hang out and kind of catch up on some stuff, but chill. And I've needed that. It has been a busy start to the year so far, and like I was saying in like some previous episodes, it's winter. We are supposed to slow down, to hibernate, and to do less, and that's definitely easier to do, in my opinion, when the weather outside matches that or encourages that. Because, it takes so much energy to go out when it's cold and to bundle up, and it's more exhausting when you are out. And so it just kind of pokes and prods us to slow down and relax. And I love that, because any external reason that gets me to relax is always helpful for me. And so today, I'm excited to get into the listener question around a topic that I love to explore on this podcast, which is friendships. I've thought about the fact, like, if I ever wanted to niche down even more, make this like a one focus podcast, I would make it about friendships, because I think that's where I have the most experience, but also there's so much to say. There's so many different issues we can run into with friendships. There's so many different types of friendships, and they're so important. And I think that we know inherently, and see this a lot through like media and other podcasts or books or whatever, that relationships, partnerships are super important. And it's like the focus of everyone's life, of most songs. Well, I shouldn't say everyone's life, but it's the focus of most people's lives and a lot of songs. Heartbreak, love, looking for love, dating. We get it. It's very, very important to a lot of people. And so when it feels really important to you, when you're heartbroken, or when you're, meeting someone new and it's all consuming, and it's just kind of changes your worldview, changes your life, that's understood and accepted. It's what's kind of expected in life. But when friendships do that, when friendships change your life, when you meet someone new and it feels like a lightning strike, when you go through a friend breakup and it's horribly heartbreaking, it can be less expected, even though it's no less common. It's probably more common. And so I'm always here, advocate for how important these relationships are and how complicated they can be, and to normalize that experience so that, you don't feel weird or alone. Anyway, all that to say, this question is a little bit more like day to day. I think something we can all relate to, which is feeling too busy. Feeling too busy or feeling too fatigued or drained to be able to keep up with our friendships. So anyway, let me stop talking around it and just open up the shop for this listener's question. And if you're new here, welcome. This is the Evergreen Apothecary, as I like to call it, where I sometimes read listener questions and try my best to answer them, not from a way of here's what you should do, or I know better than you, I'm the expert, but like, let's process this together. How can I relate to this? How am I struggling in the same ways? What do I think about it? And then obviously always encouraging you guys to share what you think about it in return, so we can have a discussion and we can revisit these topics again and again and explore them together. And so the whole point is for you to be able to make your prescription for living well, which means your unique take and needs and desires for how you want your life to look, which no one else can tell you what that is or how it should be. We can just brainstorm ideas together, but yours and mine will always be a nuanced, fluid, totally personalized prescription. And so you take what you want and you leave what you don't, and you put your little compounds into your mortar and pestle and you mix it up and you make your prescription. And the great thing about life is that it is always getting iterated and changed. So something you decide for this phase of your life might not work for the next phase of your life, and that's okay too. All right, okay, let's move on and open up the shop. This person says, Dear Evergreen, I want friendships, but I don't actually have the energy to maintain them the way I used to. I feel guilty for not reaching out more, but also resentful when I'm stretched too thin. What do I do? So this one is a tough one, and I really like it because it's been super top of mind for me lately. Like I was saying, with wintertime, I want to slow down. I want to stay in. I'm chilling. I am chilling. And I've had a lot of large developments in my life lately as well. So I'm like processing that and wanting time to reflect and to be with myself, which honestly I've been doing a lot less of in the past couple months. You've been listening for a while. You've been hearing that. I'm not taking as much time for myself. And so when I can get it, I'm really trying to hold on to it and see what this new kind of way of being is like for me. So when friends reach out to hang out, mind you, friends that I love and friends that I do want to see and I have a good time seeing, I'm like, no. Why? Now I have to respond to this message and I have to figure out, and I don't want to offend them and I don't want to like take too long to respond, and it's a lot. So yeah, there is no perfect recipe for how to handle this phase where you're just not having as much energy as you used to, but you also feel guilty for not reaching out, which, you know, there's no perfect recipe, literally could be the tagline for this podcast. But yeah, there can be something really special about those times when you're alone, or there's no expectation on you. I also really like to spend a lot of time with my partner and with my family, and so that takes up a good amount of time. And there are a lot of relationships that we have to maintain. Most people, I think, most of you guys listening, like, you probably have a lot of relationships to maintain. Whether there's work relationships, dating, family, friends, extended family, neighbors, acquaintances that kind of, take up some of your social battery, the person that you see at the coffee shop every week. We have a whole range of social connections, and each one is going to require something of our social battery and of our time. I think there's something to be said about those casual connections where, the front desk person that you see every morning you come into work, easy 10 minutes on the front end and the back end of your day. So that doesn't sound like much, but it adds up. And then if you run into a neighbor and you catch up with them for 15, and then you get home and you talk to your partner about your day for 30 minutes, and then bam, we got a lot of time taken up. And so I totally get not having the energy, or when you're going through a difficult period of time in your life, or a more hermit-like phase for whatever reason, if you're being called to more introspection, or you've gone through something really hard, or someone you know is sick, or there's grief in your life, so many different reasons why the energy level could be different. And also, scheduling is a lot to handle, right? Like, as a therapist, I am in my schedule all day, every day. No one told me that. I'm constantly trying to coordinate with other people's schedules. And it's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. Trying to coordinate your own schedule is a nightmare. And then you're getting the input from other people, and then there's delays in the messages back and forth. So then you try to make a plan with somebody else, and then that conflicts with the plan that you offered to the other person. And then it goes on and on and on. And so that can be a big part of this too. It's just genuinely the energy with everything we have to do, our to-do list, our personal, responsibilities, to then coordinate and figure out a time, a place, a when, where, who, how to hang out that feels good, and we're not like totally drained by the time the plan is made. So all that to say, yes, I'm with you. Sometimes when I get a text from a friend to hang out, my knee-jerk reaction is not great. And I can feel bad about that too, because it can be like, oh gosh, like, what? Do I not want to see this person? Most of the time, no, that's not the case. But now I'm procrastinating texting them back, and maybe it's like the second or third time they've asked me to hang out and I haven't been able to, and I feel really bad about that, and I don't want to make them think I don't want to see them. And for me, I think the worst part is the wishy-washiness. It's that period of time where you get a message from someone and all these feelings and thoughts come flooding, and then you're in limbo. You don't want to respond, but you don't want to not respond, but you don't know what to say, and you don't want to tell them no, but you don't really want to tell them yes, or if you do, or you would, you don't really know when you would say yes for or what, and so it's just very wishy-washy. And I think that's super draining, because then it's just sitting on your mind. And every time I'm opening my phone, literally, I was doing this morning when I was preparing to record, opening my phone, checking my notifications, see a notification from one of my friends that's asking when I'm free this week. And I keep going, oh God, I need to respond to that. Oh God, I need to respond to that. Oh, but when? And yeah, so I'm in it, and it's really draining. And so, a couple things come up around this. One is, it sounds like in this question, you say like you don't have the energy the way you used to. So that makes me curious, like, what were the circumstances in your life before? How much has changed in your life that the past version of yourself you're comparing yourself to? What was their life like? Were you in high school? Then girl, like, drop it, because you cannot compare your social life to how it was in high school or college or pre-kids or pre-marriage or pre a parent getting sick or pre that job that you have that you really end up working like an 8 to 6 or an 8 to 7. So most likely the circumstances in your life have changed drastically. Autoimmune issues, sleep problems, things that are taxing you more, taking more out of you, that whatever past version of you is not you anymore. So the energy you used to have is irrelevant to the energy and the capacity that you have now. So toss that out, that comparison, me saying it like it's so easy, just toss that comparison out. No, I mean, as much as you can, try to, or keep that in mind when you find yourself comparing to, who you used to be or how you used to be with friends. And then let's think about, I think there can be a misperception of time, feeling like we have a lot less than we do, or undervaluing like the importance of an hour spent with a friend. I find this a lot. I like to do a 2-minute plank every day. Seems really specific. There's a whole backstory to it. Maybe I'll get into it sometime. But I do a 2-minute plank every day. 2 minutes feels really long. You guys would be surprised the amount of things you can do in 2 minutes. The amount of emails I can check. I once had a book, like kind of a coffee table book that my partner had given me. And it was about an artist that I like. And I just would read a little bit of it every day doing my 2-minute plank. And I finished the whole book. And it really didn't take me that long. Just reading 2 minutes every day. Which kind of shocked me and made me realize, like, wow, I think I'm wasting a lot more time than I think. Because we sit there before we're ready to head out, to an event or something. And it's 20 minutes. We have 20 minutes to kill. And it's like, 20 minutes. There's nothing I can do in 20 minutes. I'm just going to scroll on my phone. And yeah, we kill that 20 minutes pretty fast. But if you actually try to do something, you can find, like, you could clean up the house, straighten it up in 20 minutes. You could get all the dishes done. You could go through the mail that's been sitting on your desk. There's a lot you could do in those 20 minutes. And all that to say that, an hour spent with a friend can feel really impactful and not take too much of us and of our time. And so I find that when I'm trying to reach back out to friends or coordinate, figure out when to hang out, I'm always trying to allot 2, 3, 4 hours of time. I'm like, oh my gosh, so which evening is free this week? When really, meeting somebody up for coffee when I got, from 3 to 4 can be wonderful. And that's how we can really grow and maintain meaningful relationships, are these little check-ins that we can do maybe with some more consistency because it doesn't take so much out of us and it isn't so hard to coordinate. So that's some food for thought. And that's something I've been thinking about too, is just remembering how much time we actually do have, how much time we are losing to our phones and to the internet, and seeing if we can find smaller pockets to offer friends, or even just for like a call, so you don't have to try to commute somewhere. Doing like a FaceTime lunch date. I think a lot of us have more of that time than we think. And alongside that idea, when I say like undervaluing that time too, is I think a lot of times when we're trying to plan, and it's maybe at the end of the day, we're trying to respond to all these texts and we're exhausted, we overestimate the amount of energy it will take to catch up with that person. And this does vary. I think there's importance to knowing which of your friends recharge you and which of your friends drain you. And you can have wonderful friends that you love who do just drain you because of the kinds of conversations you have or the energy that they bring. But I would hazard a guess that there's more friends than not who do energize you. Even me as an introvert. Yes, I am drained in the sense of like, I want to go home and not have to kind of be on in the same way. I want to be able to be cozy and in my natural habitat and relax that way. But in terms of creativity, ideas, excitement about life, just new thought stems, new concepts, I feel energized a lot of the time leaving my friends because they've just opened my eyes to different things. I'm not ruminating in my own head, but I'm swimming around in someone else's and we're having generative conversations, and that feels really good. And that has a value even to me as an introvert and really helps me, recharge in a different kind of way for the rest of the week. When I go meet up with my therapist friend, Ben, shout out to Ben, who's been on the pod before, we have so many fun ideas and conversations, and we talk about the work, and it rejuvenates me for the rest of the week, seeing clients and having sessions. Maybe there's new thoughts that I'm having that are getting infused into my sessions than earlier in the week, and that can really bring some new life to it. So also, I would think about maybe it's the guilt that you're having trying to tell you. For me, a lot of times with the relationships I have now, what the guilt is telling me is like, it's trying to prod me to text back. It's trying to prod me to not forget, to not ghost, to kind of nurture and put in the energy that the relationship deserves. I have to muster it up, nut up a bit to respond and to give that friendship that level of energy, which it does deserve. But is the guilt maybe telling you, what do you think about that friend? Do you actually not want to see them? Are you afraid that they're going to be mad at you? What are all these underlying stories that you're telling yourself about this relationship? And yeah, is this a friend that you want to see, or is there more there? Is there something to kind of explore about, the last 5 times you saw this friend, you left feeling super drained, super exhausted, kind of bad, and maybe the friendship isn't what it used to be and needs to be renegotiated or reevaluated. And guys, I got lots out there, lots of episodes out there for you if that's the case. Go listen. I'll try to link below, whichever ones I can find on, how to navigate tough conversations with friends or when your friendships are changing and, maybe don't fill the same place in your life. Got a lot out there, so I'll link it below. But, it's important to think about what is that trying to tell you. And so then I have some tips. And if it's more in the camp of like, I don't know, I think it's just a fact of life that it's really hard to maintain all of this and it feels exhausting even though I do love my friends, then here are my thoughts on that. Here's how we can work with that. So these are the things that I try. So like I said with not overestimating the amount of time or undervaluing the importance of an hour, I would say like it doesn't have to be a big long thing. And I love this. I love this fact about myself, which is I always tell myself it doesn't have to be a big long thing. I'm just going to squeeze in like Wednesday afternoon, going to see my friend for coffee for like an hour. Then I can get home and get these other things done. Then what happens? I get there. I start to have fun. I'm having such a good time with my friend and it goes longer and I don't even care. And then, yeah, maybe I didn't get that other work done in the rest of my evening, but I actually realize it doesn't really matter that much. I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to constantly be productive and doing all these to-do list things when they don't really matter. Okay, so maybe that's just a personal thing, but I think some of you guys will understand what I'm saying there. But really, if you're afraid that always happens to you, that it always goes too long, you don't know how to end it, and then you really regret it, pick an activity with a start and a finish. Walks are great for this. If there's a trail or a loop in your city, go on that trail or loop so that, oh my gosh, we're back at our cars. So great to see you. Great to catch up. See you later. Or a meal, which sometimes that can be a little bit more ambiguous on the time because you can sit and loiter at the table, but it can be helpful to go to a restaurant where, you sit and order, you have the meal, and once you pay, that's a good time to get up and head out. So give yourself the structure if you need it to be able to kind of set that time limit. I also love to set the expectation ahead of time in a text, when making plans with somebody. Hey, like, love to see you. I've got a little bit of time from, 2 to 4 on Sunday. Do you want to go here? Do this, whatever. So you kind of prepare for when, it's 3:45 and you're kind of trying to wrap it up. You can check your watch and go, oh, almost 4, gotta head out, whatever. Maybe you don't say it that way. You can say it a little more naturally than that, but that person's already primed for it. And I find a lot of times when I do this, my friend will like check their phone and they'll be like, oh, hey, like I know you have something to get to after this. Like, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Boom. No one's offended. No one's hurt. We're all on the same page. And as always, the golden rule with relationships is clear communication, as clear as you can be. So even if that means you text that you want to see someone, but you're stretched too thin, that can go a long way. Just exactly what this listener said in their question. Just saying that, I just don't have the same energy right now. I would love to see you. I don't think I can swing it. Thank you so much for reaching out. It really means a lot to me. And right now I'm underwater and I don't know when I will be available again. And I'm sorry about that. Or, I'm thinking about you. I hope that you're well. And I hope that, when I get some energy going again, we can catch up. Just being honest. If that's all you can do, it is better than ghosting your friend, leaving them on, red for 24, 48, 72 hours. Just or saying, hey, I see this. It's on my mind. I don't know right now. I will try to get back to you by the end of this week. Something to just touch base. One thing I like to do is either kick the can or over communicate. So let me explain. When I kick the can, that's like, I've got the text and I just keep seeing it and I'm like, fuck, I really have to get back to them. It's been, too long. But I just don't know when and I don't know how. I'll just text that person back and say, oh my God, yes, I would love to. When are you thinking? When are you free? What would you like to do? Boom, back in their court. Let's see how they do. Because most likely they're having some of the same stuff as me. And so it's going to take them a bit to get back to me. Buys me a little bit of time. Say like the week ahead of me is really busy. Sometimes I have a week where I'm just like, yeah, I can't. I just don't want to fit in another thing. So I'm just going to kick the can a bit. And most likely by the time my friend gets back to me and I get back to them or whatever, when we plan something, it's already been kicked down the road to making plans for the next week or the week after that. It's great. It's a lovely strategy. Or I like to over communicate and I will just text my friend all the times I'm available that week, all the pockets of time that I have. Like, hey, I've got from 2 to 4 on Monday and I could do a lunch on Wednesday if it's near work, or I could do, happy hour Friday before 7 p.m. Okay, you got my schedule. Can you fit into one of my gaps or not? And then what can you offer? And I like that too, because sometimes I find that when I am preparing to send the text, when I'm thinking, okay, what gaps do I have? And oh God, I don't know. Do I really want to have to squeeze that lunch in on Wednesday? Usually by the time I've sent off the text, and like if they got back to me and said, hey, I could do lunch on Wednesday, I'm already mentally prepared a bit. And then I'm like, oh, great. Like it feels better because now they're fitting into my schedule too. Now they're just slotting in perfectly to the time that I had said, and we're going to do lunch and it doesn't require more of me. And sometimes that really can feel good. By the time the plan is made, I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't that big of a deal. I can do that. So, you can choose kick the can or over communicate and then leave the ball in their court, which can feel really good. Another thing I do, which might sound kind of crazy, but I find it helpful, is I keep a running list of people. I have this like to-do list note in my notes app where I have like a list of tasks that need to get done that week. I have like a mini calendar of like the main social plans that week, anything that's like out of the norm of my schedule. So like not like work. And then at the bottom, I have a running checklist of friends to see. And they are in order of priority. Now, not priority of who is closest to me or who matters most to me, but maybe the friends that like it's been a minute since I've seen them and I'm like, God, I really need to like put that on my schedule first. And then some of my friends, usually the people that I am like closer to or I see more often, go a little bit lower on the schedule or on the list because it's like, oh, that's somebody I can just kind of like pop into like a last minute plan, or we hang out more casually. So I don't have to be as planned with it. Like a good example would be my brother. We can hang out so casually that like if I just happen to have a free hour, I can like drive by his house and go just see him for a little bit and catch up. So I really like to keep a list, and so when I am looking at my schedule, or maybe I have a little bit of a lighter week, I'm like, oh, this is a good time to text Ben and to see when he can hang out or if he's free. Or this is a good time to text these couple friends that we have and see when in the next month they're available. Because usually with couple friends, it's going to be a month out because there's 2 of them, there's 2 of us, and we have to coordinate all of that. But to get that ball rolling, at the beginning of January, being like, oh, hey, here's these people that I kind of, kick the can with through the holidays. Let me reach back out and say, hey, when in January are you free? And then I can put it on my schedule for like further out, so that by the time it rolls around, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this has been on my schedule for so long. Like I've been prepared for it. So I find that really great, because then that also makes me feel at ease when I have that list that I'm, in cycles, seeing the people that really matter to me, and I'm touching base and keeping up with those relationships, which is a really important thing to me, and sounds like it's important to this person answering the question, and, probably to a lot of you guys out there too. We want to have those relationships. We want to maintain, and feel like our life is populated, that we don't just see people at those like once or twice a year big events, but that we're very peopled. We have a lot of connections, and it warms my heart and makes me feel loved. It makes me feel cared for and less alone. And so it's a wonderful thing. And sometimes these logistics and these frustrating things that maybe drain our energy, or we don't always feel like we have enough time and energy in the day to deal with, can be worth having that feeling of connection and community, and feeling like our life is filled with those that we love, even when sometimes it's overwhelming looking at the week ahead and being like, oh, my life is filled. Yep, got a lot going on. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Let me know your thoughts or your favorite tactics for managing a busy life and trying to maintain deep friendships. Also, just a last comment on that note about deep friendships. I find that the people that we see often can lend to a depth because of the comfort level that we can attain with people that we see on a regular basis. Because we can skip past the, oh my God, I haven't seen you in 6 months, tell me all what's new. And then 2 hours go by and it's just both of you recapping what has been new. So at least for me, I find that people that I see more regularly, even though it takes a little bit more effort, and maybe we see each other for shorter periods of time, we don't have to do the whole catch up, so we can get into more meaningful things. And sometimes to bring the conversation to those more meaningful things means coming prepared with a question, with a thought, with a reflection, with vulnerability of your own to set that tone and open up the dialogue to something more deep. So anyway, I could probably do a whole episode on how to cultivate deep conversations and deep friendships, but just to touch on that part, that's my 2 cents. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your tips and tricks for managing your schedule. And please hit the follow or subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode. I post every Wednesday. And you can follow me over on Instagram or TikTok at the Evergreen RX, and send me your questions at theevergreenrx@gmail.com, or text me at 512-655-9888. All right, take care.